Hello, good morning, B.Ed students. This is my presentation on the topic K-12 Curriculum Guide in English. So yesterday, I've given you an activity, but I totally understand if you cannot yet answer the questions. I actually expected that you already have background knowledge on curriculum guide. So that's the very reason why I have this presentation. I hope that it will help you understand the curriculum guide because this is very important. This will be used as our blueprint in selecting strategies, approaches, and topics in teaching English. As you can see here, we have here grade 1 to grade 10, but of course, we will only focus on grade 1 to grade 6. Okay, and if you will revisit the syllabi in both subjects, teaching English in the elementary grades and teaching English, in elementary grades through literature and teaching English in the elementary grades language arts, this topic was actually included in both subjects. So this is my presentation for both subjects, okay? All right, so we have here the framework. This will be the focus of our discussion. As you can see here, this is actually the main goal of the K-12 curriculum guide. So if the student graduate or finished grade 10, they are expected to display this competence, right? They must have the communicative competence and multi-literacies. Later on, I'll present you the definition of the two terms. Okay, so I want you to look at this one, the circle, right? The outer circle, these are actually the components, right? So we have 5 components: spiral progression, integration, interaction, contextualization, and construction. Let's try to understand first, what is spiral progression? I know this is not something new to you. I know you've heard this already, or you might have studied this in your other subjects, okay? So when we say spiral progression, there must be, a logical progression of the topic, all right? There must be a varying degrees or increasing difficulty as the student progresses, all right? As the student learns, or as the student goes on the other or to other grade levels. For example, if you taught noun grade 1, you might focus on, the two types of noun, the common noun and the proper noun. But as the student or pupil goes on, for example, he or she is now in grade 2, you can also focus on other types of nouns such as concrete, abstract, mass noun, compound noun, etc., etc. So that's it. So there is a varying degrees, increasing difficulty when it comes to presenting the concepts in that particular topic. All right, so we also have here, I hope you got it, you also have here the integration. Okay, so if I can remember correctly, I also have a presentation here before in our topic lesson planning. Okay, but we're going to recall this one. All right, so when we say integration, you're going to integrate other disciplines to a particular subject. So for example, in English, you are studying subject verb agreement, and you use now text to present subject verb agreement. Then probably you can present or content from science, content from mathematics, content from geography, content from history, and etc., etc. So you present also other perspectives aside from language, right? You can also do that, right? We try to integrate other disciplines in a particular subject. Okay, so that's integration. All right, we also have here interaction. That's also very significant. Okay, remember, your students or your pupils are studying language, specifically English, right? And if you're studying English without application, then it will be very hard for the pupil to really master the language. So you have to really provide strategies, activities in which pupils can use the language genuinely. Okay, so you have to provide a genuine interaction inside your classroom. So not only an interaction between you and your pupils during presentation, but also interaction between and among the students themselves. So they must use the language authentically, right? So um, role playing, and other activities might be integrated or might be used in order for them to use the language authentically. Okay, the other is contextualization. Okay, so whatever I mean, if you're going to present a context or a content to your pupils, you're going to give examples to your pupils. Make sure that it is connected to their lives, right? Because that's how they get meaning, right? That's how they understand it more. So you only have to present what is in their immediate environment, what is connected to them, or you try to think for a link. How are you going to connect the topic into their own lives, right? So contextualization. Okay, so that's actually the problem before, because some teachers use textbooks which are written by foreign authors, and so examples, contents are not actually contextualized. So you have to really think of the resources also that you're going to use if you'll become a teacher. Okay, and the other one is construction. Okay, it focuses on the construction of knowledge using the English language. So reading, listening, viewing, right? So if a student, for example, interacts with somebody, he or she has the ability to create knowledge out of that. If listens to a resource speaker, has the ability to create knowledge for that. If reading, for example, is the ability to create knowledge for that. So these are the five components, and you can see its integration actually inside. So understanding culture, since you will also be teaching here literature, right? In teaching literature, um, short stories, poems, novels, you actually present the culture of the particular place, right? So you try to understand culture. When it comes to communication, it's very important. Okay, it's not only what you say. It's not only what you say. It's not only how you say it, but it's also the culture, right? The context you have to really consider in order to avoid communication breakdowns. Part of it. That's how to be, an effective communicator, right? And remember that culture and language are inseparable. Okay, language carries the culture itself. So yeah, we need to really understand the culture, and then the processes and strategies. So in these, both subjects that you have, teaching English in the elementary grades, teaching English in elementary grades, language arts, and through literature, you'll be equipped with a lot of processes of teaching, learning English, and also the strategies on how to use or how to teach English. Let me just remind you that English is not just about, it's not about the memorization of grammar rules, right? It's not just about that, because this is more of skills. Okay, this is not more of theories, not more of the concepts, but this is more of skills. How are you going to use those aspects, right? In different contexts, in different purposes. Okay, and you also, yeah, and then understanding the language. That language is very vital actually to the students. That's one of the keys in learning, right? Reading, listening, if you know the language, that will open another learning for you. So understanding language, and you also have to really explain to your pupils if you'll be teaching this, that the significance of English, most specifically, because being an international language, it has a lot. If you speak the language well, you have a lot of opportunities awaiting after you graduate, right? Okay, and if you can see, especially here in our previous lessons here, we studied that English is used here as second language. So in education, business, law, right? English is actually used. Okay, so inside the circles, you can also see the five macro skills: the listening, speaking, reading, viewing, writing, and presenting. And the heart of that, the center of that, is making meaning through language. So, from the framework alone, you can actually see that there's an integration of, constructivist approach. Okay, so we use the language in order to create meaning. So that's the skill that the students must have when they graduate. Okay, and yeah, assessment on the process. Of course, assessment must be done, right, in order to see if the students learned or not, or what are the aspects that they need to learn more, and it will give you the feedback actually. So if they did learn that one yet, then you make an intervention in order for them to still get or acquire that certain competency. Okay, so assessment and feedback must be done regularly as you go on teaching and learning. And of course, that this the heart of that, I mean, it is supported, by different theories of language teaching, theories of language learning and acquisition, and theories of language. So these will also be studied in our subject actually, right? Because these are the basis of this one, all right? In order to achieve communicative competence and multiliteracies. Now, and I hope you understand it now, but if you have questions, you can just, post a question in our Google Classroom, okay? And I'll be happy to attend to your concerns or to answer the questions that you have. Okay, so we're going to see here what is really communicative competence. So we have here the definition and the competencies, okay, and then the multi literacies. For that, we have here the outcome. Okay, and this was actually asked in the first question in your activity. So this the outcome. The goal of the language arts and multiliteracy curriculum is to produce graduates who apply the language conventions, principles, strategies, and skills in interacting with others, understanding, learning other content areas, and fending for themselves in whatever field of endeavor they might engaged in. So my question there is actually based on your observation as press service teachers. Do you think the pupils are heading or leading to that outcome? Do you think they can achieve that outcome based on your observation, based on your further readings? Are they leading towards the attainment of the outcome? Okay, make sure to justify your answer, and remember as well that it was actually made 2016, so definitely no graduate yet, right? The students under this curriculum, this curriculum guide did not yet graduate, right? Based on just based on your observation and further readings. Okay, so communicative competence is actually the totality of the different principles or grammar principles, knowledge, and how language is used in social setting to perform communicative functions, and how knowledge of utterances and communicative functions can be combined according to the principles of discourse. So, communicative competence is the totality of it. Okay, your grammar skills, your discourse skills, how do you utilize your language in different contexts, different purposes, and if you make yourself, understandable, and you with others when you communicate, you have this one. You have actually the components of this. So we have grammatical and linguistic competence. So it's, yeah, your knowledge about grammar, not only written but also oral, linguistic competence as well, phonology, okay, what else? Syntax, semantics, vocabularies, and etc. etc. So from this, remember, your pupils your pupils must have or must attain this competence. So you have to reflect yourself, okay? You have to reflect yourself. This is my student. This will be the competence of my pupils. And so what skills must I possess, right? The other question that I ask actually in the activity is, uh, having these competencies that the students must achieve, what competencies should you also have to possess? Because it's a cliche in the educational system that you cannot give what you do not have, right? So you reflect on yourself, okay? Because we cannot go here, we cannot go one by one and develop all of these skills to you, right? We also have other subjects to deal with. So I want you to, if you to assess yourself. You think you have problems in phonological rules, morphological rules, syntactics, baka yung grammar natin hindi pa masyadong maayos. You have to really reflect and you have to work on that, right? Baka yung pronunciation natin medyo baluk-balok pa rin, right? Remember, you are the foundation of education of the pupils, right? Whatever you will be teaching, they will wholeheartedly accept it, right? Mas pinaniniwalaan pa kayo kaysa sa parents nila. So make sure na whatever you say to them, whatever you teach them, must be correct. Okay, and it's not only the content of your lesson, but you have to show it. Okay, you have to show proper pronunciation through teaching. You have to show proper construction of sentences, and so on and so forth. So it must start within you. So again, you assess yourself. Okay, you assess yourself. Social linguistic competence, sometimes meaning differs depending on the context, all right? So you must have the knowledge and pragmatic aspect of various speech acts. Okay, you have to consider, if you are talking to somebody else or to somebody, you have to consider the values, the belief of the person, the attitude, even the social status, right? Who said it, background of the speaker. There are a lot of aspects that might change the meaning of what is uttered. That's the aspect of pragmatics actually. So that's also a competence. Okay, that's a competence that will, your social linguistic competence will help you really get what's the intention of the speaker, because sometimes that's the reason of communication breakdown. So that must also be achieved by the students. Discourse competence and interpreting utterances for social meanings, particularly when the literal meaning of an utterance does not lead the speaker's intention easily. They kind of connected to each other. Okay, discourse competence. Now, it also talks about cohesion and coherence, right? Sometimes there are people, I don't know, but I've spoken to some people na sometimes hindi nagja-jive yung sinasabi nila. So for example, this my utterance, and then I'm talking about, for example, I'm talking about pandemic, and then then I shifted to education, then I shifted to science, then I shifted to geography, and so on and so forth in one conversation. Hindi na cohere, right? Minsan nagsasanga-sanga na hindi na alam kung saan papatungo yung sinasabi natin, right? That's actually something that the students must learn. Okay, they need to have this discourse competence. Okay, yeah, all right. And then very important thing, you have to know what's the intention of the speaker through the utterance. Okay, the utterances through the different aspects, just like what I said a while ago. And strategic competence is to do with the knowledge of verbal and non-verbal strategies to compensate for breakdown, such as self-correction, and at the same time to enhance the effectiveness of communication, such as recognizing discourse structure, activating background knowledge, and contextual guessing, and tolerating ambiguity. So strategic competence, it's how you use your knowledge in your knowledge in verbal and non-verbal communication, the integration or use of different strategies in order to avoid communication breakdown, or in order to aid communication breakdown. Just remember, the main purpose of communication is understanding. So if you have this competence, right, you can easily make use of a strategy to compensate with the breakdown or communication breakdown. So that's communicative competence. So malawak yung sakop ni communicative competence, right? So could you just imagine a graduate who has this kind of competence? Surely he or she will be a globally competitive graduate, right? But again, it will start with you, okay? You have to reflect, ano ba yung mga kailangan ko pang improve to myself, okay? And then we also have here multi-literacies. So recognize that there are many kinds of literacy at work in our society. In our society, to have these literacies takes a lot of efforts. Actually, kasi ngayon, hindi na lang, hindi na lang when you say literacy, hindi na lang siya able to read and write, right? There are a lot of literacies nowadays because of the changing world, changing demand of the society. So these include traditional literacy practices using text as well as new literacy practices using text of popular culture such as film. Social literacy encompasses how we communicate and exchange meaning in our society, while professional literacy links with the notion of literacy for school of the workplace. Okay, so that's it. Multi-literacy. Okay, so how we use language to communicate and exchange meaning in the society. So, if you have this kind of skill, um, you'll not have the doubt to yourself. You'll not have, you know, the fear to interact with somebody else. Now, I know a lot of people as well na they're too shy to interact with others because they're thinking of what would the others say, their utterances, they're thinking about grammar. But if you have these multiliteracies, you have the competence, right, and you have the confidence as well to interact with the society and make meaning with the society. Remember, we are all interrelated. I mean, people work hand in hand. As the saying goes, no man is an island. So we need to interact with others, and through that, we make meaning. We improve ourselves personally and professionally. So the curriculum will help the learners acquire highly developed literacy skills that enable them to understand that English language is the mostly wide used medium of communication. So wherever you go, right? This is in the previous topic that you have, right? Global communication, you study global communication, international language, right? So it's widely used, right? If you know English, then you learn a lot. If you know English, you can travel without that big doubt. How are you going to communicate with other people? Okay, and it's also used in different disciplines such as art, sciences, mathematics, in world economy. Okay, so for globalization, then for globalization, multiliteracy is really needed. Okay, so these are the main goal actually. No, these are the competencies that the students must achieve when they graduate or they finish grade 10. Okay, all right, so I'll just show you this one. So these are interrelated. So we have here the domains and the 5 macro skills. So as you can see, these macro skills are being enhanced, and you can also see here the domains: oral language, phonological awareness, and etc., etc. I want you to focus also here. This is just an overview, okay? And so from kinder to grade 3, these are the focuses, okay? Kinder to grade 3, 4 to 5, 7 to 10, 11 to 12. But again, we will just focus on kinder to grade 6. Okay, so oral language is being enhanced and taught in kinder to grade 6. Phonological awareness, kinder to grade 3. Book and print knowledge, alphabet knowledge, phonetics till 3. Phonetics and word recognition 3. Fluency, yeah, we have here until 6 also, 7 to 10. It's also integrated writing composition, grammar awareness, structure, and so on and so forth. So these are the domains. Okay, and as we go on, as you teach in every grade level, these are actually integrated. So we're going to see how it's being applied in teaching and learning. Okay, as we go on. All right, so that's it. So um, the others will just be presented. So we have also here this one, but we will just study this when we are going to select already a topic. You're going to select already a strategy. You're going to write a lesson plan already. We will use this as the guide. Okay. And in this curriculum guide actually, meron silang book na provided na. So yung mga activities doon, mga text nandoon na, it is provided by the Department of Education. But for us now, we're not going to use that book. We're going to just focus on the achievement of the competencies, right? Anyways, it's detailed naman dito how are we going to do that. Okay, so I hope you understand it. This is just an overview of the topic. So, as general observation, mm, I would agree that um, this is a good, a really effective curriculum, and this is really needed for the 21st century. But I've given you an activity also. I mean, part of the activity is you're going to assess. Okay, you're going to assess if you are you going to modify or are you going to add something else in the framework. Okay, you have to really scrutinize and evaluate this curriculum. Okay, great. So again, if you have questions, just ask in our Google Classroom and let me know also if you understand it, or should I have another video lecture about the overview of the English curriculum, guys. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening, and again, I hope it helps you to understand the K to 12 curriculum guide framework. And bye bye.